All right, guys, welcome into another tier rankings little fun list. I might just decide to do this every Sunday, go over some US celebs, maybe some politicians, and rank them. Last Sunday, I did it based on, presidential candidates. Who do I want to run? Things like that. Now I'm just going to be talking about in general. The categories are the politicians or the celebrities that I love, like, am neutral on, dislike, or deport them, which is just a funny thing. I'm being sarcastic, but just for fun, those are the categories, and we're going to go through. I've just got a bunch of random ones I've added. I think I might have like 40 total celebrities/politicians, and I'm just going to kind of quickly give my thoughts, maybe a little 20-25 minute video. So we're going to begin with Donald Trump, and I just can't do it. I can't go love. I'll put Donald in like. It's funny with Trump. I was one of the first people to support Trump back even before the primaries in 2015 because I liked his moxie and the whole wave of the fake news totally discrediting CNN, basically killing their network. I think it's awesome. The problem for me with Trump and why I think DeSantis is really the guy for the Republicans in 2024, it's just there's so many people and a lot of independents that won't vote for him no matter what. But listen, I like Trump. He's done some good things. He's obviously got major issues with his ego. He cares about himself the most, which is like a lot of people, but with him, it's a little bit extra. But no, I still do like Trump. And seeing Trump recently in a Fox News interview with Tucker Carlson, I mean, it was vintage Trump. That dude does not age. You can say what you want about him, but even Democrats got to admit, I mean, this dude, compared to Biden, he's just 4 years younger than Biden, and he looks so much better. And it's just like he's still all there. He's still really sharp. So it is impressive. And, I think DeSantis is the guy, but Trump, really, he's a solid dude overall. Next, you have Nikki Haley. Really not much to say about Haley. She might actually move down to dislike for me at some point if she really starts taking significant votes away from DeSantis. The kind of situation we have within the Republican Party, it's Trump who has his base, and then kind of the votes are being split between everyone else. Maybe when DeSantis officially announces, he'll get better poll numbers, but Nikki Haley is going to be a big problem for DeSantis because you would think if people are voting for Nikki Haley and she gets out of the race, those votes are going to probably go to DeSantis, or not probably, they will go to DeSantis more than they will go to Trump. And that's a problem. Nikki Haley, she's your typical Republican candidate in 2008. She's just in the wrong era. She's got no chance to win the nomination. Biden, so I just feel bad for Joe. I really do. It's clear he is not in control at all. I mean, you want an example? How about during the big Easter Sunday thing, Al Roker comes up to him in an interview and says, "Joe, let's break news. Are you running in 2024? And Biden, first he stumbles over about 50 words. I have a running joke with Biden where, let's just say we're in a park. I go up to him. I think it would take Biden 5 minutes to even understand that I'm talking to him. It's just, he's just not all there. It's sad. But Roker's like, let's make some news. You're running in 2024, right? And he says, I plan to, I don't know. The reason he doesn't know if he's running in 2024 because he hasn't been told yet by the Democrats. The Democrats are in total control of if Biden will run or not. They'll either tell Biden, get your ass on the campaign trail, you're running, especially if he's facing Trump. They're going to have a very good incumbent advantage, and they're fine with sending Biden against Trump because Trump alienates so many people. If it is DeSantis, or if it's looking like it could possibly be DeSantis, it's DEFCON 1 for the Democrats. They're getting Biden out. They might decide to pull the Michelle Obama race minority card and have to use that to try and beat DeSantis. There is no way they would run Biden against DeSantis. DeSantis would trounce him. So that's the situation. Biden's just not in control. How could he be? I would be, if the Democrats actually came out and said, listen, Joe Biden is doing what a normal president does. He's, I'd be like, I'm concerned. like he doesn't know what's going on. How can he have any control over anything? It's like they tell him, they say, hey, Joe, we strongly suggest you do X, Y, and Z, and then he signs off on it. That's what I think's happening with Biden. There's really no, like with Trump and Obama, it feels like if they put their foot down and they said, I saw this today and this needs to get done, it feels like with Biden, it seems like, oh, when is breakfast? You know, can I have my ice cream? It's just, he's just not, he's compromised, right? So, you know, it is tough. How much can you really hate Biden? Like I see these Republicans that blame Biden. It's just hard, man. He just doesn't know what's going on. Mike Pence, Nikki Haley 2.0. You know, he alienates the Trump base. He was in a really bad spot with the whole January 6th situation. There's a lot we could talk about on that. But yeah, for Mike Pence, you know, John McCain, that's what I would compare Mike Pence to John McCain for sure. And to me, he's neutral. He's got no chance. Again, the Trump base hates him. And then kind of like the opposing Trump base is just going to go with DeSantis, maybe Haley. He's going to come in at around 7 or 8% in terms of polling. At best case scenario, when DeSantis officially announces, he'll be down at around 2 or 3%. So that's if he runs. Maybe he doesn't run, but I don't see Pence doing anything with kind of the whole issues there with him and Trump. Next, we have Michelle Obama. You know, Michelle Obama, I don't really have that horrible of an opinion on Michelle Obama. I mean, she's the first lady. I think the issue with Michelle Obama is if she runs, if they pull her out, we possibly get another dynasty. Some people think we already have that because they say Obama is basically the president during this Biden administration. He's an extension basically on his third term. But Michelle Obama, yeah, to me, it's just more of the same with the whole political dynasties, the Obamas, the Bushes, things like that. Rand Paul, I really like Rand Paul personally. You know, it's unfortunate what happened to him in 2016. He just got, you know, overtaken. They all did. They all got overtaken by Trump. But Rand Paul definitely makes a lot of sense to me. Next, we have Bernie Sanders. Bernie's a tough one for me. I think with Bernie, listen, the number one thing with him, he's gotten screwed by the Democratic Party. I mean, you remember the 2020 midterms, the 2016 with Hillary and Biden. You know, he was, especially 2020. Guys, do you remember the Democratic primaries? Joe Biden, I believe in Iowa, was he 5th in final voting? Biden was nowhere near. The Democrats say, hey, listen, if we want to win the White House, they are smart. Because they know if Bernie is the Democrat nominee, there's zero chance a socialist candidate is winning. So they kind of put Biden in and completely rig it. And with Bernie Sanders, it's tough. I do think Bernie has some interesting ideas. I do think there does need to be some change in the way taxes are done. It gets really, really tricky, though, when you're talking about socialism and wealth inequality. The way capitalism works, if you make money, it becomes very easy to make more and more money. That's why there's a massive incentive to getting rich. So I do think it needs to be solved at least a little bit, but it gets real tricky. And Bernie does have some very interesting ideas. I will give him credit for that. The Rock, I mean, you know, The Rock is all right. I don't really follow The Rock very much. You know, you see him in a few movies here and there. That is what it is. Joe Rogan, we'll see if The Rock decides to run for president probably in 2028, maybe 2032. That would be my speculation. I think it depends. Would The Rock run as a Democrat or an independent? I think he's been swept up a little bit by Hollywood, so he would not run as a Republican. You know what? What am I saying? I think The Rock for sure would run as an independent. That's just my speculation. Next, you've got Rogan. So I like Rogan a lot. He's got a really good podcast, #1 podcast in the world for feels like a decade at this point. Talks to a lot of people, knows a lot of things, has learned a lot. And I think one of the big problems that many of these Democrats are having, Rogan is a guy who really originally was maybe a little bit on the left, like going into 2012, 2013. he has all these people on, he learns a bunch of stuff, and now it seems like he's more right-wing, and you could say, well, that's because he's made more money, the tax breaks, things like that, but I really do think Rogan is in a situation where he's looking at it, he's seeing a lot of these people on the left are so crazy, so he's gone more right-wing. I believe currently he's an independent, but if he wants to possibly run maybe in 2028, I know there's been speculation about him running, I'm guessing he would run as a Republican in 2028. It would probably be Biden winning in 2024. If Biden does run against Trump in 2024 again, my expectation is it'd be a very close race. If it could go either way, but if Biden wins, they would definitely have to remove Biden from office by no later than probably 2026 due to the just overall cognitive decline. And then Rogan or some other Republican would be running in 2028 against probably, I wonder what they do with Kamala. They'll probably keep her on the ticket because the Democrats are obsessed with diversity. And if you're going to run Biden, a white male again, you need the counter, the hard counter, which is a minority woman. LeBron, I don't really have an opinion on LeBron. I know he was doing a few events with Hillary Clinton. I thought that was hilarious. That's got to be a career regret, doing campaign events with Hillary Clinton. I think J.R. Smith was as well. That's amazing. But, LeBron, I think he's a billionaire or almost a billionaire with Nike at this point, so I don't really have an opinion on him. Would he run for president? It would probably have to be, maybe 2032 for him. I know he probably wants to play till 2025 in the NBA. Jeb Bush, I feel bad for Jeb, I really do. I'll just put him in neutral. His campaign, probably one of the biggest train wrecks we've seen recently with the amount of donor money dumped into it and just getting completely trounced right out of the gate. Like, he was leading for a month and then people are like, oh my God, this guy just sucks. He just has no personality. And I think Jeb actually is supporting DeSantis, which is probably, imagine DeSantis comes out and says, I don't accept that endorsement. No, I'm kidding. Let's not hate on Jeb Bush, but it might not be the best thing in the world that Jeb Bush is endorsing you, or that's definitely something I've seen Trump supporters use against DeSantis, like, oh, Jeb Bush supports him, things like that. And then I saw Trump supporters were like, oh, George Soros supports DeSantis. Yeah, George Soros is doing that because he's afraid of DeSantis and he knows that Republicans will not like that he's supporting DeSantis. It's a double negative. It's a strategy. It's like if George Soros wanted DeSantis to win, he would say he supports Trump, so everyone would say, wow, don't vote for Trump because Soros supports him. It's just a political strategy. Next, you've got Liz Cheney. This woman, I understand the whole idea of being a Republican that's anti-Trump, but she's taken grift to the next level. I mean, wasn't she on the January 6th committee? It's a charade with her. She has a vendetta against Trump. You can't get that personal in politics. You come off looking really weak and really desperate, and she ended up losing her re-election by like 40 points or something. Come on. I understand Trump is a big ego. There's some negatives with him for sure, but we're not going to sit. It just comes off as ridiculous, honestly. Pete Buttigieg, I would say maybe deport him, but I'll go dislike for now. He just comes off as extremely fake. There's people that think Buttigieg should run. I don't see it at all. I have no clue how a gay white dude turns out the minority vote, and the Democrats need that heavily. So Buttigieg maybe as a vice president to Michelle Obama could work, but he ain't running as the main ticket. I know some Democrats are kind of voting for him. You're seeing some polls. I don't see it with Pete Buttigieg. I think he handled the train derailment situation horribly. I mean, you want to talk... Listen, this does not get talked about because the Democrats control 80% of mainstream media. Pete, you had that train derailment. They had to, drag Buttigieg out to even do a photo op in that small, that small city in Ohio. And then when he goes there, there's no apology. You see him during the interviews in Ohio just acting so smug and disrespectful, and it's like, dude, you've waited 2 weeks before even coming here and you're still gonna give us attitude? Like, dude, you're disgusting, man. I mean, really? Elizabeth Warren, listen, this is the thing with Elizabeth Warren. If she can prove that she is 2% Native American, I'd go there. I would. But she can't do it. So you know what? With Elizabeth, we have to put Bernie in front of him for sure. Papa John, I like John. I think they tried to get him with the N-word, to get him out there. It's just a low blow. It's out of context. I like John personally. DeSantis, you listen to DeSantis, he's a beast. He is the one true young political superstar in America. And, to me, again, I go back, we finally had, and I don't want there to be any major problems, any major crises in America, but we finally had one with the lockdowns. That is the time to prove how good of a leader you are. You can talk. That's what these politicians have been doing the past 2 decades, but in 2020, finally the rubber met the road, and DeSantis said, no, it doesn't make sense for us to close down. They shut down immediately. And then you hear Trump saying, oh, but Florida shut down. Yes, DeSantis was smart for shutting down Florida because we didn't know what the virus did to young kids or young people. When he realized it was not threatening towards most of the population under the age of 55, he opened things back up, which is exactly what you should do. And it's just so important, and that showed great character from DeSantis. And then you have these Republicans, or the Trump Republicans, coming out and saying DeSantis is establishment. It's just so fake. This guy is totally culture war, which is exactly what you need to be. You need to push back against the mainstream media. Otherwise, you're going to get crushed. That's why I like Trump. But like this whole idea that DeSantis is just this normal, conservative, whatever, that's not going to draw votes is ridiculous. He's totally culture war. He's got the whole thing with, in Florida with, the whole thing with the books and stuff like that. And it's like, dude, people were saying that he was banning books. If you think a 3rd grader should open a book in their elementary school library and see 2 guys having gay sex, if you think that, then we just disagree. Because I agree with DeSantis for doing that. That's ridiculous. Kids should not see that stuff. That's just ridiculous. Next, it is Ben Shapiro. So I certainly like Ben. I think with Ben Shapiro, in my opinion, right now is just waiting. He's probably going to try and run in 2028 if, there's a lot that can play out, but my guess, let's say Trump runs in 2024, loses again to Biden, that's a prime opportunity for Ben Shapiro to run in 2028 because that means Trump beat out DeSantis in the primaries. That's going to knock DeSantis down a little bit. And that could open up possibly Ben Shapiro. I think Ben Shapiro knows he's too young to run right now. And he's kind of just waiting, especially with the whole Trump thing, because you're seeing the main problem with DeSantis and Trump right now. DeSantis is in a weird spot. It's like, I have Trump attacking me, but if I attack back, I'm going to be alienating a lot of people. Do I really do that? You're getting all these conservatives, Nikki Haley not really saying anything about Trump. They don't really know how to handle Trump right now. So it's kind of an awkward situation. Why would you want to throw yourself into the ring when you're so young? And Ben Shapiro, extremely smart. If he was on the debate stage against a Democrat, I would have full confidence. I think it would be a bloodbath, and it would be hilarious to see. Dylan Mulvaney, you could say a lot of things about this one, right? Do I want to get canceled? I mean, so here's, the whole Dylan Mulvaney thing, people wondering, how does he or she keep getting all of these, sponsorship deals and things like that? Every day it's a new sponsorship. From what I can tell, there's a major incentive for these companies to have sort of an LGBTQ community member as a sponsor, and they get apparently a lot of incentive breaks and things like that for doing it. So that's why I believe that's happening. The whole trans thing, I'm going to be very careful. I don't want to, I'm going to be careful. I'll say my piece and then I'll just get off of it. When you look at the trans issue, it reminds me a lot of body dysmorphia and anorexia. And the argument that I would use, when you see someone that's anorexic that weighs 80 pounds, there's no positive reinforcement, right? Because in their mind, they're saying, I'm not skinny enough, I'm fat. Meanwhile, you look at them, you can see through them. They're like, they're so unhealthy because they're so skinny. We're not going to sit there and say, you look great. If that's how good you feel, you keep starving yourself. No one says that. I do think that there's a comparison you can draw. It's like if you're a man with testosterone and you think in your head you want to be a woman, maybe the first response by society should not be positive reinforcement to that. Maybe kind of like anorexic people, we should say, I think you need some help. I think you have a mental illness. I understand there are actually trans people. I understand there are men that are born very feminine. I get all that. It's real. I also want to see the data on this because I think it's just so ridiculous. I think the amount of trans people, even from 2021, like since the pandemic to now, is probably triple, maybe quadrupled from the previous 5 years. One of the reasons that would be a bad thing for people that are promoting this stuff, it's just such an unnatural growth in the amount of trans people. I understand their argument, and this is why they use it. It's because you can't really prove it. Their argument is going to be, well, it's more accepted, so more people are coming out. But to me, it's like a 700% increase or something. It's just ridiculous, in my opinion. But I do know those people exist. But with Dylan Mulvaney, I just don't think it's a good example for young kids. We can disagree on that. But like all the sponsorships and stuff, I mean, there's like The Rock isn't getting that many sponsorships in the span of a week. Like, what is going on with that? I am being, I'm exaggerating it, but still, it's just very surprising that someone that, all they did was change genders. Now they're a multi-millionaire because of it. Like, what are we doing here in this country? I don't know. Matthew McConaughey, I love Matthew McConaughey. Interstellar. The thing is, Interstellar, pound for pound, is the greatest movie of all time. I don't think there's any question. I know some people, they don't like the science. It's amazing. I do know McConaughey. I think he came out against guns. I'm not going to kill him for it. I think the school shootings have to stop. There has to be something that has to be done. Obviously, the other thing, when people come out against guns, their hearts are in the right place, for sure. A lot of them. Some of them do want the government to have control. A lot of these people, the hearts are in the right place. The issue is they don't realize, they're naive to the fact that guns are really a checks and balances between citizens and the government. So like the government knows they really can't do much in terms of overpowering the people because the people have guns. And if you take number one, like banning ARs I'm not going to say it won't do a thing. They'll just use pistols. The third biggest shooting on a campus, Virginia Tech, it was an executioner style. A dude went around and shot and killed 30 people with pistols. They're just going to start using pistols. So when you ban the ARs, everyone's going to use pistols, and then the narrative is going to be, we got to ban the pistols. It's a never-ending cycle, and there's no right answer to it, so we're just going to keep arguing and arguing and arguing. Next, you have Brian Stelter. This guy's, listen, I'm not going to say much on him. I did see he was at the World Economic Forum. So maybe he got a few social points at the World Economic Forum for being there and hosting that. Do you think they're going to even do that next year after all the hate it's gotten? I don't know. Who is this? I don't even know who this I don't know who this is, honestly, and I put this list together. But, she's hot, but I don't know who that is. I'm just going to say neutral. Andrew Tate. So Andrew Tate, I think I'm going to go in neutral with him. This is the problem with Andrew Tate. So Andrew Tate comes on the scene, says a bunch of stuff that is undoubtedly true between male and female and how both sexes act. The issue is he did say some stuff that was pretty bad. And the thing is, it seemed like the women realized he was saying a lot of things that were true, and then he said some misogynistic stuff, and they kind of just took that stuff and said, oh, you can't believe, he's a misogynist, he's disgusting, because I think he said, like, women are property and things like that. But there's a lot of stuff that Andrew Tate said about the relationship between men and women that is true, 100%, and no one else was saying it, and he comes out and he says it. Honestly, I like Andrew Tate, but I'm not like an Andrew Tate fan. I do think there are things that it's like, I don't know, like the whole living in Dubai thing. I would never live in Dubai or anything like that. I just think it's fake. It's a completely fake city. And, look, Andrew Tate is what he is. He's I think a lot of things that he says is true, but he has said some stuff that, is going to come off pretty bad, and they're just going to use that against you, even though he says a lot of stuff that's true. Ben Affleck, I like Ben Affleck a lot. I don't know his politics, but I think the movie Gone Girl is one of the most underrated movies in history. He's a great actor for sure. Tucker Carlson, I like Tucker. I'll put him in Fox News. I don't know, man. Like all the mainstream Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, they're all gonna have their biases. Tucker, the January 6th footage. I don't really know what happened there. I know he was given a bunch of it, but he only released a little of it. I think Fox News didn't allow him to release all of it or something, but I like Tucker. We have another Rand Paul. We're gonna put two Rand Pauls in here. I don't know why I had two of them. Elon Musk. So I think Elon Musk is a real life superhero. So this is what I'll say. Elon Musk, probably like 7 or 8 months ago or whenever it was, came out basically as a Republican. So immediately people are going to dislike him. Some people who are Democrats and don't like any Republican are immediately going to dislike him. It's understandable. It is what it is. But Elon Musk, to me, he's an inspiration. What he's done, completely changing public discourse on Twitter, that it's just completely remarkable. You had Twitter totally controlled by the left. Elon Musk doesn't like it. The only way anyone could have changed Twitter and tried to at least make it more fair is someone like Elon Musk, who has $44 billion to throw around. And Elon Musk is the perfect example why Democrats hate billionaires. Listen, I'm not trying to stick up for billionaires, but what I'm saying is there is no way, if billionaires did not exist, Twitter would be even further left than it is now. And we saw with the Hunter Biden story how horrible that is. They try and weaponize the words disinformation, misinformation, using them basically as excuse words to ban anything that they don't like the Hunter Biden story, like banning anyone off the internet that they don't like or they don't agree with politically. The Trump banned anything. And Elon Musk takes over and says, listen, I have the money. I'm going to buy Twitter. There's really nothing you can do about it. He buys it and he completely changes the narrative. I understand he's not perfect. There's things I disagree with Elon on. But in general, he really is a superstar. There's just no other way to look at it. And what he did with Twitter, it's just amazing. Next, you have Rachel Maddow. I think she's your typical leftist shill. It is what it is. I mean, it's whatever. It's mainstream media. What are you going to do? Leonardo DiCaprio, one of the GOAT actors. I really like Leo. I guess we'll put Leo and Greta Thunberg together. With Greta Thunberg, how old is she? 19, 18, very young. So I really don't want to, kill Greta, but the issue I have, it just seems like such manipulation. There's no way. When she came into prominence in the spotlight, I think she was probably like 13 or 14. I mean, as an autistic kid, it just seems like they took advantage of her. And the reason I say that, no kid in the history of the world cares about climate change that much. The reason they promote Greta and do that is so they can gain some kind of advantage for their argument. Like, how bad am I going to look if I argue with Greta? Like, if any Republican or conservative or independent or anyone that disagrees with the climate change notion argues with a young kid, you just can't do it. You will always lose. Even if you win a debate against Greta, you're arguing with a 13-year-old autistic child. you're always going to lose no matter what. That's why they prop her up, and I think they've used her, and it's sad. And then the Leo DiCaprio, I know he's been a big thing with the climate change. He's been kind of captured. You know, there's so many issues with that, man. Like the idea of a one person switching from using, you know, going to an electric car. Let me just tell everyone, please do not worry about that. You have so much more meaningful stuff in your life to worry about than switching cars because you want to help the climate. It does not matter. What matters is the overall just complete pollution that China is dumping into the air with their factories and things like that. It's actually double the CO2, the overall emissions the United States is, but no one talks about it. And then also you have the climate change numbers. Yes, humans are in part to blame for the rising temperatures. I totally agree. But there's just so many factors at play. The idea that we're gonna in a sense, I've seen this movement go around on Twitter, on Reddit. It's like an anti-car movement, and I really think it's people arguing against themselves, not really understanding cars and how good cars are for freedom. And this is something that I didn't even realize until like a year ago. Cars are great for freedom. You can go anywhere. The idea that public transportation or taking your bike is a better form of, transportation for society is just ridiculous, and it's going to completely limit your freedom. The reason I think they want people to switch to electric cars is mainly to get every car on a network, and I'm not sure if this can be done with the electric cars, but the idea is the government will have the ability to shut off your car if, for whatever reason, you've done something wrong or they don't like you. And I actually recently saw a really interesting thing. It was a headline on Real Clear Politics, and it asked the question, why is the left soft on China? And my hypothesis on that is because I think the left is jealous of the amount of control the Chinese government has over their citizens, and they're kind of jealous. So it's interesting. The left goes after Russia, and they hate Russia so much, but they don't do the same for China, even though China is significantly more dangerous than Russia, and that is not, because I see people saying, it's China and Russia, it's China and Russia. No, it's not. When it comes to the United States of America, China is 100 times bigger of a threat than Russia. Half of our crap comes from China. Right? And they're growing rapidly. Their military is expanding. They're dumping so much more money into it than Russia. The only reason Ukraine's been able to stay afloat against Russia is because Russia has World War II level technology. Their country collapsed in 91. It's only been 30 years since that. Russia is not as strong as you think they are. They're not. I see Americans believe it's China, Russia, it's China. No, it's not. It is China, a big gap, and then it's Russia. And I know it's all semantics because they all have nukes and they could all kill us. I get it. But I'm just saying in terms of military power and current growth, the way the countries are trending, China is 100 times bigger of a threat. And I think Democrats are very jealous of the amount of control that China has over their population. And one of the things I would recommend Democrat citizens to look at is videos of people having to show their face in China to go to a different zone. So like in China, it's so restrictive. You have to show your face, and if the government doesn't like you, if you've spoken out, if you've done something, you can't go to another zone. You can't pay for certain things. It is the social credit score. It is complete doomsday, and that is something that no citizen should want. I'm sure if you're part of the government, you want that. You want more power. It makes sense. If you're a citizen, you are simply voting for your own demise if you support something like that. In my opinion, Justin Trudeau is racist against white people. That's all I can say about Justin Trudeau. Vivek Ramaswamy, absolute beast. Certainly, I think Vivek is going to start getting a lot of negative press by the Democrats because they're going to start feeling threatened by him. I don't really know what Vivek's overall political strategy is yet, because it seems like he's backing Trump and going after DeSantis. I would really love to see DeSantis and Vivek team up. I think that is the dream team. I understand if DeSantis for VP wants to choose a woman, it makes sense in terms of the overall structure and balancing the ticket with a woman. But Vivek Ramaswamy, if he debated Joe Biden, he would get charged with elderly abuse. I mean, it would be a complete bloodbath. I think we need an IQ test on Vivek. I think he's probably got an IQ of at least 160. You know, this is a legit, I would say probably classify him as a genius. That's how smart he is when you listen to him talk. And he might just want to get his name known and then really run in 2028, depending on what happens. But yeah, he is impressive, and I'm sure, you know, there are some negatives to him that we aren't seeing right now because the Democrats really aren't focusing on him. But if he really starts getting more numbers, there's going to be a lot of attacks against him, and I'm sure he's well aware of that. But he's really, really impressive as a young politician. Jack Dorsey, I really don't have a negative opinion on him. My thoughts on Twitter, you know, he was the CEO. He kind of stepped down. I think he's pretty much pro-free speech, and Twitter was just completely hijacked, and there's really nothing he could do about it. So he said, you know what? I'm just not going to have my name attached to it. It's ridiculous. I have no control over anything, yet everyone is blaming me for this platform, kind of censoring people. And I know Jack Dorsey, there was talk about him possibly creating a different version of social media that was more pro-free speech. So listen, I don't know everything about Jack Dorsey, but it did kind of seem like he was distancing himself from Twitter as Twitter got more biased and political. And he's like, listen, I'm just done. I have no control over this. I have very little power, but I get blamed for everything as the CEO, and I'm done. That's what it felt like. And then we do have Lori, I think, Lightfoot. It is funny what happened with her. She lost re-election or whatever, and everyone was so happy. And then Illinois ended up electing someone even more left. So maybe we should have re-elected Lori Lightfoot, because apparently the person that they elected is actually worse than Lori. So that's just something funny, but I don't know. I just wanted to do a tier list overall on some different celebrities here, just for fun. Maybe I'll do this every Sunday. But either way, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.